Coming up on Network Africa. Leaders of 23 countries, including 5 African countries, support the implementation of a pandemic treaty for future emergencies. With the third wave of infections in Kenya, Health Ministry faces oxygen shortages in hospitals across the country. Plus, South Africa and Portugal say they are ready to support Mozambique even as it battles Islamist insurgency. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Teniola Shoboale. Leaders of 23 countries and the World Health Organization are supporting the idea to create an international treaty that would help the world deal with future health emergencies similar to the coronavirus pandemic that is ravaging the globe. South Africa, Rwanda, Kenya, Tunisia and Senegal are the African countries on the list of countries who gave the treaty proposal a formal back-in. The idea of such a treaty was floated by the chairman of EU leaders, Charles Michel, at a G20 summit last November. WHO Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus endorsed the idea in January, but formal negotiations are yet to begin. He's calling for an immediate action on the contract.
The time to act is now. The world cannot afford to wait until the pandemic is over to start planning for the next one. We must not allow the memories of this crisis to fade and go back to business as usual. The impacts on our societies, economies, and health, especially for the poor and the most vulnerable, are too significant. We cannot do things the way we have done them before and expect a different result. We must act boldly. Without an internationally coordinated, all of government, all of society, One Health approach to pandemic preparedness and response, we remain vulnerable. It has shown how much we need a universal commitment to basic public health principles as the foundation for our work to prevent, detect, and respond to epidemic and pandemic threats. The idea behind the proposal for such a treaty is to systematically tackle the gaps exposed by COVID-19.
Hello and welcome to wherever you are.
Senior Lecturer of Molecular Biology at the Nasarawa State University, Dr. Akiala Ishaku, joins us now on the program for more on this. Dr. Ishaku, thank you so much for joining us on Network Africa.
Thank you for having me.
Certainly. You know, we hear it all the time. Yeah, it's a pleasure. We hear it all the time, you know, health experts saying that this will not be the last pandemic. This is essentially planning for the future in one way. What do you make of this international treaty being proposed to prepare for future health emergencies?
I think I want to commend the 24 countries that came together to see that a treaty has to be in place. Coming up with a treaty like this will enable us to predict, to actually prevent, and also to respond to global pandemics that will envisage in the future. This is because of factors such as global warming, international travels, and even international traits of wildlife animals. So I think it is quite in key. It is in that direction that I want to commend the 24 countries for this treaty.
Well, what do you think should be the focus of this treaty? You know, negotiations are yet to start. What should be the focus that will be beneficial to everyone, especially low-income countries?
Yeah, I think what we need to do, what the treaty needs to bring to bear is about prediction of the next pandemic, and also how we can be able to prevent it, and also have a coordinated attempt on how we can be able to tackle future global pandemic. My take here will be that there should be focus on how we can be able to build capacity on how we should be able to respond to global pandemic from resource constrained and low income countries, like countries in sub-Saharan Africa. We should also see to how we can also begin to build capacity on diagnostics and immunologists and vaccines. COVID-19 has actually opened gaps. You can see that even in the distribution of vaccines, it has created inadequacies and inequalities. So it will be good for us in future plans as this treaty comes to bear is to how to respond to pandemic globally. So we need local content development as we begin to push for this treaty so that diagnostics, vaccines, and drugs can be made locally in countries where resources are quite constrained. So we need the building up of capacity. I wish that most of the vaccine production would have been done in Africa of our human resources, and to begin to think in that direction.
All right, then, Senior Lecturer of Molecular Biology at the Nasarawa State University, Dr. Akiala Ishaku, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on Network Africa.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And still on the COVID-19 pandemic, Kenya's Ministry of Health says the East African nation is facing an acute shortage of oxygen in hospitals across the country. This is due to the rising number of COVID-19 cases as the country experiences a deadly third wave, with some Kenyans and private institutions stocking up on the commodity. Health Minister Mutahi Kagwe says Kenyans are holding some 20,000 oxygen cylinders in private facilities, homes and institutions. He adds that these cylinders are desperately needed in public hospitals to save lives and appealed to Kenyans to take them back to manufacturers. Kenya has confirmed more than 130,000 cases of coronavirus infections and over 2,000 deaths. Abby Agina, Kenyan journalist, joins us now to speak on this from Nairobi, Kenya. Abby, thank you so much for joining us on the program. In this pandemic, oxygen shortage is one of the challenges countries are facing. How is the Kenyan government planning to tackle this? It does seem we're having some issues with the connection to Abby. We will try and reconnect, but in the meantime, let's take a look at some other stories. South Sudan has postponed the launch of its COVID-19 vaccination campaign, but did not offer a specific reason for the delay. The vaccination program was supposed to start on Monday in the capital, Juba, as announced last week by the Health Ministry. However, a government official says the vaccination exercise has been moved for simple logistical reasons. As to when the vaccinations will take place, Mr. John Romunu says they are yet to receive information on that. South Sudan received its first batch of 132,000 doses of the vaccine on the 26th of March. The country has recorded 10,119 cases and 108 related deaths. Well, it heads back to Kenya now, where the Ministry of Health says the East African nation is facing an acute shortage of oxygen in hospitals across the country. Here we have Abby Agina with us now. Abby, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear from Nairobi.
Yes, so I was asking, in this pandemic, oxygen shortages is one of the challenges many countries are facing. How is the Kenyan government planning to tackle this situation?
Well, many thanks for having me on the program. As we speak currently, the Kenyan government is appealing to Kenyans who have in their possession close to 20,000 cylinders of oxygen to avail them to the nearest facility. The current situation has, of course, got the government flat-footed. Majority of the hospitals are full to capacity, with the third wave of the coronavirus causing a lot of uncertainty on the government's preparedness. Well, the issue of oxygen remains a very dear one for many hospitals in the country, even as patients have to make do with various ways of coping as they try to get the best solution. But the government has tried to put all the various actors in place to ensure that the cylinders are returned. Over and above that, the government is still pushing for bolder measures through the National Treasury, where they are looking to get tax reliefs for manufacturers in the medical gas sector.
We do hope this situation is quickly resolved. Thank you so much for sharing and joining us to give us an update on that on Network Africa.
Thank you.
To other stories now, South African Foreign Affairs Minister Naledi Pandor has expressed concern over the situation of some South African citizens who are in Mozambique and have been affected by the insurgency in the country. Mrs. Pandor says the government has mandated the mission in Mozambique to help the citizens, even as South Africa is ready to provide necessary support to their sister nation in tackling the escalating crisis.
The Department of International Relations and Cooperation has been very concerned about the reported plight of a number of South African citizens who are in Mozambique and who we understand have been affected by recent attacks, particularly in the city of Palma. We have asked our mission in Mozambique to provide every assistance to our citizens. And I was very pleased earlier today to receive a report that over 40 South Africans have been accounted for, and I must express my deepest condolences at learning of the loss of life of one of our citizens. But I urge our mission and all the officials within it, our ambassador as well, to continue to do all they can to provide assistance to our citizens and to any citizen of Mozambique who may be in need of help. We, through our government, will provide any support that might be necessary to our friendly sisters and brothers of Mozambique, and we continue to be concerned at the violence that has been reported widely in the media. And as the region, we hope we could do more in order to provide support to our friendly country in the region, Mozambique.
Still ahead on the program. With eyes and ears online, an anti-poaching team links up with virtual rangers to protect South Africa's wildlife. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us on Network Africa. Portugal says it's ready to send troops to its former colony, Mozambique, following an Islamist attack on a town in the north of the country. The Portuguese Foreign Minister, Augusto Silva, said around 60 soldiers were getting ready to be deployed to support the Mozambican army. In the meantime, survivors of the latest attack are speaking of their ordeal, with many of them still expecting news on their loved ones. They landed in the port town of Pemba on Sunday, March the 28th, as Islamic State claimed the attack on the northern Mozambican town of Palma, where dozens were killed, thousands displaced, and some remain missing.
At the port in Mozambique's Pemba, Families are anxiously waiting for news of their loved ones after a deadly attack in the northern gas town of Palma. Some, like Hosea Bebe, are begging for help.
I'm looking for a young man. I need your help with communication to locate my son. I am a displaced person, and this is the second war my son is facing. He was 5 days in the bushes in Macomia, and he escaped, but then he called for work, and when he arrived to work, that's what he found there.
Since 2017, Mozambique's northern Cabo Delgado province has been a target of a simmering insurgency linked to Islamic State.
There was that, but the attack starts when...
This hotel worker speaks of his ordeal when insurgents attacked his Amarula hotel worker.
The attack starts when there's a camp near Standard Bank in Palma, and they start like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock afternoon. So we ran away to Amarula company, and those people, they started to shout, to shoot around the place. So we stayed 2 days in a hotel. We locked in a hotel. No one was allowed to go outside. So this is the last day which we ran away. The Shabab started to shoot in Amarula hotel.
On Monday, the Islamic State claimed the attack on Palma, which began on Wednesday, March 24th, saying it had killed at least 55 people. Around 160 miles down the coast, in the provincial capital Pemba, hundreds were arriving by boat on Sunday. Omar Saranga, the spokesperson for the Ministry of Defense, told journalists that the focus had been on rescuing local and foreign citizens. Palma is a logistics hub for international gas projects worth around $60 billion. On Saturday, French energy group Total said it was calling off a planned resumption of construction at its $20 billion development following the attack.
Ships have started sailing through Egypt's Suez Canal again, a day after a giant container vessel blocking the vital trade route was freed. 37 ships that were stuck at the midway point cleared the waterway overnight, while 70 others are due to travel its entire length on Tuesday. The canal authorities hope to clear the traffic jam of some 300 vessels waiting to use it within 3.5 days. Meanwhile, the freed ship is expected to be inspected for seaworthiness by experts. The 400-meter-long, 200,000-ton Ever Given became wedged across the canal a week ago after running aground amid high winds. The Tanzanian police have now confirmed that 45 people died in a stampede as mourners gathered to view the body of former President John Magufuli. 37 other people were injured in the stampede in Dar es Salaam. The police had initially given a death toll of 5. They have been under pressure to confirm the actual number more than a week after it happened, after a family confirmed losing 6 members in the incident. The family was part of the thousands who went to bid farewell to their president but never made it back home. One man lost his wife, 2 children, a nephew and a niece. The family's maid was also found dead a few days later. Video footage circulating on social media showed residents entering the stadium using unofficial entry points as crowds grew larger. President Magufuli died on March the 17th from what government officials said was heart complications. African elephants living in forests and savannas are increasingly threatened with extinction as conservationists call for an urgent end to poaching. And that's according to new assessment done by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. The red list of species is in trouble underscore the persistent pressures faced by the 2 species of elephants in Africa due to poaching for ivory and human encroachment. The Swiss-based body's latest survey says the savanna elephant is endangered and the much smaller, lighter forest elephant is critically endangered, its highest category before extinction in the wild.
The savanna elephant is now classified under the IUCN Red List as endangered, while the forest elephant is classified as critically endangered. Now, these results are due to decline in numbers that have been observed over several decades, with forest elephant declining by 86% over a period of 31 years, and savanna elephants declining by 60% over a period of 50 years. Main reasons being poaching for ivory and loss of habitat. The results are worrying. They're worrying because when you have animals listed on the red list and they keep on going down towards extinction, then it is a worry. Because the way the red list is categorized, when you move from critically endangered, you go to extinct in the wild.
The animals that roam South Africa's Balule Nature Reserve have a new ally in the battle to keep them safe from poachers: camera phones mounted in protective cases that stream images of their activities to thousands of virtual rangers worldwide. With reserves across Africa cutting back on anti-poaching patrols amid a coronavirus-induced tourism lull that has hit funding, Balule has teamed up with handset manufacturer Samsung and tech pioneer Africam to supplement staff numbers with eyes and ears online. Take a look.
The all-female anti-poaching unit, called Black Mambas, has been protecting South Africa's wildlife since 2013. Now, they have a new ally: tens of thousands of virtual rangers worldwide, keeping an eye on the animals via camera phones. Black Mamba Ranger Leita Mkabela speaks on the solutions this new innovation has brought.
We are dealing with poachers that are professional people. They've been to the army, they know how to use weapons, and we know nothing about it. And people who can walk long distance, come inside the reserve, kill a rhino in 5 minutes, they're out. So this is a big change to us, but it's a change that we want to bring out to people.
Animal reserves across Africa have had to cut back on anti-poaching patrols due to lulls in tourism drying up fund. 1 in 5 rangers have been laid off globally over the past year, according to World Wildlife Fund International. To combat this, the Balule Nature Reserve has teamed up with handset manufacturer Samsung and tech pioneer Africam to supplement staff with eyes and ears online. Over 55,000 people have become virtual rangers since the project Wildlife Watch went live in March 2021. They help track the big 5 of Balule: rhino, lion, leopard, elephant and buffalo.
People are not able to come in and see the animals, but we can use the cameras to remind them that the animals are still there and they need you to watch out for them.
Mkabela and her colleagues use the same model of phone for communication and to capture images of suspicious activity during patrols, while other handsets have been installed to monitor perimeter fences. This is Craig Spencer, Black Mamba's unit founder.
Mambas can only be effective if they can use their senses, because that's, we don't arm them. We rely on their eyes and their ears and their various other senses. Fortunately, the human being hasn't evolved to be able to see at night and to see things quickly and this kind of thing, and it's what I call human bias. So you'll walk past something that you might not have noticed. I can only cover certain sections of the park at certain times of the day or night. I need technology to fill the gaps, and it's not just a spatial thing, it's a temporal thing as well.
And the system seems to be working. Viewers of the park's streaming service have reported hearing gunshots, signaling the possibility of poachers, and alerted rangers about trapped animals needing rescue.
And that's the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Tenyola Shoboale. Bye for now.